My dad called me a lagging loser because I wasn't making millions like my brother, but it turns out he made his money from scamming old people. So I secretly recorded him bragging and sent it to the police. I am 25 years old and have been working as a journalist at a newspaper for the last 3 years. Being a journalist at a well-known news agency in your early 20s is a dream for many. I am not rushing things because I know I am doing well at my own pace. However, my family, especially my brother, looks down on me for my low income and 9-to-5 job. My brother James is 22, 3 years younger than me. He completed college last year with a degree in software engineering, while I pursued journalism. He often criticizes people who work 9-to-5 jobs, calling them slaves instead of employees because he is an entrepreneur. When James entered the tech field, our family and relatives praised him for being a techie. He brags about his skills like no one else. Before college, he was a decent boy, and we had a normal sibling bond. Both my parents are science professors, but they never discouraged me from taking up journalism. When my brother showed interest in science, they were thrilled that he was continuing the family's science legacy. My brother says it takes brains to study science. Hello, you need a brain to study anything. James is a software enthusiast, and just after starting college, he began showing off the websites and software he created. At first, we were all happy for his achievements, but eventually, he started bragging and looking down on others, especially me. He often asks, "What do you do all day at work? Write poems or stories?" For the record, I research business news, which is far from writing stories. Even if it were stories, what is wrong with that? It requires creativity too. Soon, my parents joined him in saying, "Oh, we wish we had persuaded you to study science in college." This became very humiliating for me. Whenever I objected or fought back, they would say, "You are doing great. We regret this for ourselves. We could not have done better for you." I tell them that I chose journalism by choice and I love my work. James started freelancing in his final year of college, creating websites and software for small companies. After graduation, he started his own business with his college friends. They make software tools for small businesses. Within a year, he was earning millions. My parents went crazy over him because he was earning as much as me while still in college. They started acting like typical parents who look down on other kids who did odd jobs to cover their college expenses. Why wouldn't they? He runs his own company at 21. While I work as a back-office employee in a news agency. My parents' house was close to my apartment, so I used to visit often in the evenings and on weekends. But the situation became so toxic that I stopped. It became so suffocating that I stopped visiting them. Just imagine my situation at family gatherings. James is the apple of my parents' eye. Now, I don't look down on myself. This is how my parents and relatives see me, and I have kind of accepted that maybe I'm not meant for huge success, and maybe he is more talented than me. What else could I do other than accept this fact? I was ignoring it, telling myself that I was happy and content with what I was doing. I am still happy and content, but I have also accepted that I'm not as successful as my brother. I feel lighter after venting. Hey everyone, thank you for the overwhelming support. It means a lot to me. It's so much easier to vent in front of strangers because no one here judges anyone. Even if they do, you can just log out and move on with your life. In real life, it's hard to find someone you can be yourself with. The reason I'm making this update is because my parents have reached new levels of toxicity. Last month, my brother bought a 3-bedroom apartment and held a big housewarming party to celebrate. I really wanted to avoid the party, but I had to go. I was happy for my brother's success, but I didn't want to hear my parents and relatives comparing us. They kept saying how my younger brother succeeded so quickly while I still live in a rented apartment and don't own a car. I can afford a car, but I haven't bought one yet. Buying a house is still out of my reach. I showed up at the party reluctantly because skipping it would make people think I can't stand my brother's success and that I'm jealous. I managed to get through the evening and left early. Yes, I'm called envious for defending myself. My parents can praise my brother without putting me down, right? But they don't understand that. I keep venting because I can't say even a fraction of what I feel to my parents without being called jealous and mean. Today, my parents suddenly showed up at my apartment. They said they wanted to discuss something important. I was surprised because I couldn't think of anything that urgent. They said they were worried about my lagging career. What? They said it hurt them to see that I've been working hard for 4 years but haven't achieved half of what my brother has in a year. I reminded them they were the ones who celebrated when I joined the leading news agency. Now, just because my brother has surpassed my achievements, how does that make me lag behind? Maybe he's just too fast. I told them to stop measuring my success against James's. We are on different paths with different goals. The next thing they said blew my mind. They urged me to quit journalism and join James's company. It took me a while to absorb their proposal. I wanted to yell at them, but I took a deep breath and asked what I would do in his company. I'm not a coder, remember? They said they would ask James to give me a managerial role. What? Why? I'm not jobless that they need to plead with James to employ me. They said it was for my own good and for the families. My mom said James was hiring a manager at a high pay scale, so why not join him? Who better than his sister to manage the office? I asked if James wanted me at his company and if he knew about their idea. They said no. They wanted to discuss it with me first before pitching the idea to James. I said no way. Here I have my own identity. I love my work. I don't want to be reduced to just James's employee. They got angry when I refused. They said I always complained that they loved James more than me, but never realized why. They adore James because he never turns down their ideas. Dad said he would prove his point and called James. I kept saying I wasn't going to join James even if he said yes. Dad told him to hire me as the manager of the company. It was almost like an order. I was losing my composure until James yelled back that he wasn't going to hire a loser like me. Dad shouted that it was an order. Thank God my parents and James were busy flaunting their luxurious apartment, which has a rooftop swimming pool. P.S. My parents aren't usually that bossy, but that day Dad behaved like this just to prove his point. James got furious and said he doesn't take orders from anyone. He was his own boss, and there was no way he was going to have me at his company. He then hung up. There was an awkward silence between the three of us. My parents' unquestionable trust in their baby boy was shattered. But they have to make a comeback. Dad said James was right in not hiring me because I was a loser. Mom joined him and said James has a fair understanding of people and doesn't invest in loss-making deals. So I was a loser and a loss-making deal for my parents. I asked them to leave my house. I stood brave, but after they left, I broke down. I've been crying all day since they left. There are many ways these fraudulent companies operate. The easiest fraud is to call the customer, posing as a bank official, take their credit card details, card verification value, and other crucial information, and then empty their bank account. Another common scam is someone calling you, pretending to be an executive from an antivirus company. They gain your trust by pointing out simple computer issues like internet lag and storage problems. Then they tell you that your device is not protected by antivirus and is prone to malicious attacks. They create urgency and panic in the customer, forcing them to buy their antivirus software. However, they do not sell any antivirus. Instead, they sell malware that hacks your laptop, digs out sensitive information like bank details and credit card information, and then empties your accounts. It is a double profit game. They sell the software, and during installation, they take remote access to the laptop and steal data from the device. Data selling is one of the most lucrative black market businesses in the United States and is spreading worldwide. It might sound shocking, but trust me, all this is happening. I did my research, and you can verify it on the internet. As a researcher, I also have to analyze the details of the owners of these fraudulent companies and how much money they made. According to data from official sources, the owners of these companies were mostly college dropouts, final year students, and recent graduates from software backgrounds. They made millions of dollars in a quarter. This information blew my mind, and all of it hinted towards James's business. Have you seen any legitimate businesses making millions of dollars in just a year? The way James was minting money, I had a strong feeling that his business was involved in all of this, but I needed proof to uncover him. A few weeks later, one of my seniors assigned me a task to research the growing fraudulent companies in the United States, their operating model, and other relevant information. She was covering an article on the growing scammy companies in the United States. Gradually, I moved on, stopped talking to my parents, stopped visiting them, and focused more on my career. Still, it is not a good feeling to be compared and belittled by your own family. I sent one of my sources as a job applicant to James's company. For those who do not know, a news agency has many ground employees who pose in different roles as undercover agents to dig out information. When my source went to James's office, he was turned down, saying they hired only through employee referrals, which means they do not hire anyone from outside. I traced back to check James's initial few hires and remembered that he used to hire only his friends, college juniors, and people he knew. He also never hired people from the family. Our relatives often asked James to hire their children, but James always stalled them by giving some weird reasons. All of these puzzle pieces were fitting together. After scratching my head for days, I finally came up with a plan. James's birthday was approaching, so I teamed up with my parents to plan a surprise party for James. They were delighted to plan a party for their gifted son. James was living with his business partner, who was his best friend from college. I asked Dad to get the spare key from his friend so that we could sneak into his house, arrange the party, and surprise him when he arrived in the evening. Dad did what I said. His friend also gave us the spare key. We arrived at his house in the afternoon with Mom, Dad, me, and 2 more cousins to help with decorations. I placed a microphone in my purse and in my jacket. I hung the jacket in James's office room and left my purse in his bedroom so that any conversation happening in the house would get recorded. I wanted to place a microphone in his friend's room as well, but that would have raised suspicions. It went as we planned. James arrived and we surprised him at the party together. James still had pending work to complete, so he took breaks from the party and attended calls in his study in his bedroom. That was what I wanted. Update 2. Oh, this is insane. Thank you for understanding me, everyone. Yes, I agree it was risky to post such confidential information. That's why I didn't share the details of the Information Technology Cell's findings. Instead, I talked about various scams happening around the world. I started this thread to express my doubts, but after learning the truth about the money scam, I felt it was my moral duty to let everyone know what was going on. These days, people are quick to judge others' income and professions. Social media is full of influencers and entrepreneurs who look down on people with regular jobs. They glorify fraudsters and imposters while belittling hardworking people. Enough of technology, entertainment, design talks, right? You know what? I made the right decision not to confront James or my parents. The police found data on James's partner's laptop showing they planned to leave the country if they suspected they were caught. These were criminal activities. James told my parents that this was common practice among software companies and that it was no big deal. There are thousands of such companies in Silicon Valley that do the same. It's been 3 months, and my parents are still stuck on this. Whenever I visit them, they curse the police, the information technology cells, and the person who leaked the information. James suspects someone from his own company tipped off the information technology cell. I got tired of their complaints and insisted they admit that James was involved in fraud. He was cheating people out of their hard-earned money. If they keep supporting him, he'll go back to his old ways. My truth didn't sit well with him. I didn't say anything further to avoid suspicion, but I was quickly labeled as jealous and envious of James's success. But whatever my parents tell others to save face, friends and relatives have understood the truth. No one earns millions a year without doing something shady. Relatives have now turned their support to me, praising my stable career choice. James is currently living with my parents. He has no money to start anything new and can't get a job until his case is closed. The investigation is still ongoing to determine how much money he earned illegally and what his penalty will be. I also have good news to share. A manager has promised me a promotion and a substantial raise next quarter. The promotion means I'll get to write my own column in the newspaper with my name credited. I'm super excited to see my name in the newspaper. I'm so glad I didn't get swayed by quick money-making schemes and continued to follow my passion and earn my living honestly.